What is a reduce method? The reduce method exists on every array in JavaScript. So let's read the definition. Reduce method executes a function that you provide on each element of the array, resulting in a single output value. That's why it's called reduce. So it reduces down the array to a single value. Let's say, for example, we have an array of letters, HELLO. So I want to concatenate, so sum up them to a single value, which would be obviously string hello. So how can we do that with reduce? So reduce, if you can see here, expects a function that should have two values, accumulator and the value. The most important thing about the reducer is the accumulator. It is the thing that is passed from one letter to another, accumulating our total value. So in this example, we will accumulate all the letters into one final string. So I prepared here a console log so that you could see on each iteration what is accumulator and what is the value. So let's refresh this file. So you can see on the first iteration the accumulator is h. In the reduce function, there is an option to supply initial value of the accumulator. You can put it as a string, you can put it as a number, depends on the case. But if you do not submit it, the accumulator first value of the accumulator will be the first item in the array. So it is h. So you can see on the first iteration, the accumulator is h, and the value is e. So what we do is we sum up this accumulator with the value, and we get sum, which is he, and we return this sum. And this sum now on the next step is the new accumulator. Now we have the next step. The accumulator now, as you can see here, is he, and the value is l, and we sum up them, we get the string hel. The next iteration, we add up l and the o and the result, and the final outcome is the string hello. So to make it more obvious, let's apply it with a empty string and refresh the file. So you can see that now accumulator is empty. We don't see anything in here. Accumulator is nothing, empty string. It doesn't render in here in the Chrome browser tools, developer tools. It doesn't render here in the console. So the accumulator is empty string, and the value is h, which is now our value. Empty string plus value is h, so we return h. Now this sum on a new iteration is the accumulator, the new accumulator. For the e item, we will have accumulator as h, as you can see here, and e as an item. We sum up those two and pass it to the next iteration. On the next iteration, for the value for the item l, we will have he. So we'll add up them together. We'll get the hell, and so on and so on. At the end, we will have hello. This is the example. We can replace it, of course, with the numbers. 4 and 5. And we can set the initial accumulator value is 0. So let's refresh the file, and you can see how it works. On each iteration, we set the initial accumulator value to 0. So on the first step, it will be a 0. Well, 0 plus the first value in an array will be obviously 1, and we'll pass this 1, which will turn into accumulator for the next iteration. So on the next iteration for the second item, the accumulator is already 1, which we can see here in the console. So we add up 1 to the second item, which will be 3, and we'll pass the number 3 to the next iteration, and so on and so on. So eventually we are getting 15, which is a correct number. And you also can depends on the goal, on your goal. We can do multiplication if you want to know the multiplication of all the items in an array. We can do this just by substituting the sign with the multiplication sign. And of course, if we keep the 0 here, the final value will be 0, because any number multiplied by 0 will be 0. So if we omit it and refresh that, we will get the number 120. 120 is the multiplication of all the numbers in an array. So that was the reduce function in JavaScript.